Coming up, will Hull KR be once again flying into the playoffs? Can Leeds make it back-to-back playoffs with ex-Raiders at the helm? And it'll be the good, the bad and the ugly headlines to both sum up Salford and St Helens. Yes, hello and welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast, the one-stop shop for rugby league. Along with Mark Hendry, I'm Conor Marcells, and today we continue our look at the 2022 Betfred Super League. And we begin this week by looking at Hull KR. So once again, from west to east of the River Hull.
Yes, and we know that Hull KR just made it into the finals last season. Can they back it up again this season?
It's going to be an interesting question, but before we jump onto that, we've got to remember how Hull KR season started. An absolute thriller against the Catalan Dragons, which went down to the wire, if not for a James Below only drop goal that separated them.
Yeah, that was a good way to start off the season. A down to the wire game, what ended up being Catalans being the League Leaders Shield winners, but we didn't know that at the start of the season come round one. But then as the season progressed, we found that out. But to have that good start was what Hull KR needed.
Well, they didn't really start good because a narrow drop goal lost to Catalan and then getting smashed by the reigning champions 25-0 after that.
Well,
then
true.
Another drop goal drama loss to Castleford in the cup up before the qualification of the quarterfinals. So that's 3 straight losses across league and cup before that game at Hull College Craven Park against Huddersfield.
Well, yes, but two of them, there were now losses, but they were in the game the whole time. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, KR were in the game. For round one and the third round of the cup, they were in the game.
But it's just the result went the wrong way compared to what they were hoping for.
Yeah, exactly right. But I've got to tell you, at stages, you just had to sit back and admire what KR were doing.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but I got a feeling, can't remember where I had them finishing last season.
Well, good on you.
Well, I know they finished 6th overall, but I had them, I think, just missing out on the playoffs, I believe. But they ended up proving me wrong. They had a better season than I first anticipated, heading into it. And then as the season progressed through, they got better and better. So,
well, I had them lowly ranked. Honestly, I probably had them. I don't know if I had them running 11th or I actually had them in the mid-table.
But yeah, either way, they improved better than what we both predicted. Put it that way.
Well, yes, and they knocked off They had some very interesting contests all up. I think the clashes against Catalan were very tight and intense. All 3 of them that they played. Well, 4 if you count the semi-final. But the middle ones, the second and the third time they met, they were, chef's kisses, nail biters.
They certainly were. And by that stage of the season, we knew what the form guide was like for all clubs. But to come out and spring a surprise or two against Catalans was...
Well, almost upset them, really. They were still on a 14-game winning run.
Well, yeah, almost upset them, but you could tell that they were starting to gain some momentum in that middle part of the season, especially against the top side like Catalans.
Highlight of the season, the elimination final against Warrington. No one would have given them a chance. Best defensive display I've seen from them all year.
It was a very good performance defensively.
To hold Warrington to 0, who had gotten a second spring with George Williams joining, and still behind both Catalan and St Helens, to knock them off and then travel to the south of France, as it is the case that the lowest ranked seed in the playoffs has to go and face the league leaders, which, considering 2021 was basically, you either get raging French side or reigning English champions.
Yeah, they were going to be tough games either way.
And they stunned Catalan early. They were up for the fight early.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the Dragons got a sniff, and it was all she wrote by the second half.
Yeah, it was see you later. Pack your bags, go home, basically.
And not to mention, it would have been hard to concentrate when you had probably 10,000 French people chanting Viva le Catalan.
Well, true.
But I think the fact that Hull KR has not had much playoff appearances at all, relegated, came back, and this is probably the high watermark since returning to top flight in 2018. I think Tony Smith, you can call this an absolute success of a year.
I agree.
I think if you're either 80 minutes from the grand final or 80 minutes it's from being champions, I think you've had a good year.
Yeah, certainly. And they'll be looking to build on that heading into the upcoming season, backing up their momentum and the nearly upsets that they had in, like what you said, 80 minutes away from a grand final. They'll be looking to build on that heading into this upcoming season.
Yeah, well, they'll have to do it without Adam Quinlan, who I think last memory has joined the Lee Centurions.
Well, I saw that he retired, so...
Well, I think he was intending to join Lee, actually, and then retired.
Yeah.
George Lawler linking up with the Castleford Tigers. Greg Minikin becoming a new member of the Warrington Wolves. And Owen Harrison, I think, has actually just announced his retirement recently, too.
Well,
at a very young age of 24.
Well, I got him joining
Dewsbury,
yes.
Yeah, so it was only just mentioned on the series about rugby league that I think he actually previously announced his retirement.
And you got Tom Were joining on a loan deal to Rochdale Hornets. I don't know what competition.
Rochdale. I think Rochdale's either Championship or League One from memory.
Well, there you go.
I think more on the side of League One. Yep, 22 years up. Here's Owen Harrison's retired, so that's confirmed.
Well, there you go.
Meanwhile, on the other side of it, it's Tom Garrett joining from Dewsbury, Sam Wood joining in from the Huddersfield Giants, of course, looking for more time as a winger. Phoenix La Altogagai, the son of QLT, either one of the icons of the Toronto Wolfpack's early success, as from the Keighley Cougars. Lachlan Coote joining from St Helens with 3 championship rings to his name. And Frankie Holton, highly rated Featherstone Rovers forward.
The biggest one for me, Lachlan Coote.
Oh, arguably it's Lachlan Coote.
Seriously. To go from having 3 premierships in a row to a club that has made the playoffs, he'll bring a wealth of experience.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's a big signing for Hull KR.
I reckon that's the...
And I think he's going to solve a lot of problems. I think he's a third option to take the pressure off both Jordan Abdul and Mikey Lewis. And I think a much more reliable goal-kicking option.
Yeah.
So
and
I think Coop provides
well.
2 benefits, as well as being probably one of the top 4 or 5 fullbacks in the game.
Yeah.
In Super League.
Yeah, you could say that. But yeah, like you said, you're going to take the pressure off Turner and Lewis, did you say? No,
Abdul and Lewis.
Sorry, it's Abdul and Lewis.
Where'd you get Turner from?
I don't
We
know.
talked about Castleford last week. Do I need to put you back in the concrete boots?
Yes. Anyway.
Okay, that just went morbid up for a moment. Just like, oh, okay. So, you up for a little fishing trip?
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, he'll be a good... He's like a third playmaker in a way.
Oh,
So,
yeah, it's the same benefit he provided to Johnny Lomax and Theo Farge, and of course Lewis Dodd when he was at St Helens,
yeah.
and all up.
But he will bring the experience, and maybe that experience could help Hull KR progress into that grand final that they were 80 minutes away from in season 2021.
Yeah, and Hull KR's road ahead of the first 5 rounds with new sponsor Saywell Group. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now taking over the sponsorship rights at Craven Park. They'll be facing Wigan first up for a home game of the season before travelling to face the Huddersfield Giants in round 2 before back for 2 back-to-back home games against Castleford and the reigning champions before travelling to Greater Manchester to the AJ Bell, if it's still the case, to take on the Salford Red Devils. Now, out of those 5, Wigan's an interesting one, but I think they've had the wood over them over the last 2 years particularly.
Yep.
Huddersfield will be an interesting one. I think that's a game that can go either way. And I think they got Castleford's measure. They're not going to beat St Helens.
No.
And they will easily beat Salford. But outside of that, I think my biggest concern for Hull KR is I think they're wanting to back Lewis and Abdul in the heart as the man wearing 20 and the man wearing 7. And the reason I only said 20 instead of 6 is because that number's still permanently retired after the passing of Hull KR great Roger Millwood. Yeah. And also, you'd have to think that there is a pressure of expectation that the Robins would want to perform because it's the club's 140th anniversary.
Yeah, they would be aiming very, very high. And back to the first 5 games, I feel like it's fairly... not easy, but not hard draw. Besides, again, St Helens, that would be probably.
I think you're right.
game.
I think if you had to rank it on scale from medium to difficult opponents, you're looking from that. Wigan will probably be ranking third on that, so they'll be middle of the road.
Yeah.
Huddersfield probably on the harder side, and then the hardest difficulty would be St Helens.
Yeah.
And then I think Castleford and Salford would be on the other end to the very easiest. So it's a range. It is ultimately a range you have to deal with.
That's true. But yeah, and if they start off strong, like it's their 140th anniversary, they will be looking to perform very, very well.
Not everyone performs on their big milestones. I mean, depending on how you define exceptional or good result, but I think what we're seeing at the moment, I think there is a consolidation of what we think the top 6 sides, and then from that, the top 3 sides are going to be. The question is, can Hull KR match up with those top 3 sides? Of course, we've seen it with Catalan that they're willing to go the distance, but do they have enough to knock them off?
Maybe, eventually. It's hard to tell, really, what they can do, Hull KR.
They're not going to get relegated. I
No.
will say they are not going to be relegated in this affair.
No.
Far from it. But I think they're going to drop back to the mid-table. I think they'll lose their place in the top 6.
Yeah.
It's competitive, but I think it might be a slight backward step for them.
Well, I've kind of gone a bit further back.
All right. Well, last year, Hull KR finished 6th and were in the semi-final against the Catalan Dragons. Where do you have them sitting this time?
Well, I know Coot is the biggest signing coming in. So they will maybe have the upper hand against St Helens when they do play him because of Coot's past knowledge. But I've got a feeling they're going to slip back from playoffs to, I'm going to, hate me all you want, second last in 11th.
Yeah, there's going to be Ed Robbins supporters bashing your door down, and they'll be doing much worse than the concrete boots. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think the slide's going to be as dramatic as you're going to make it out to be. So I'd get some black and white defenders there, because I think you put Hollisey above KR anyway.
Yes.
So, look, I think against Wigan, they got the match, and I think against Castleford, they might get there, but against the top 3 sides, it's like Saints, Catalan, Warrington, I'm not convinced they're going to do so well this time round. So I'm going to say they finish 8th on the table. I think they'll just be behind the Huddersfield Giants and in front of their West Hull neighbours.
Yeah.
So there you go. So now you're going to have the Robins bash your door down, the black and white's going to come bash my door down.
So pretty even overall.
Yeah, we're equally going to get bashed the shit out of by Hull supporters. So it doesn't matter which one they are.
Exactly right there.
Now, moving on, the Leeds Rhinos, I got to say, from the doldrums of 2019, Richard Agar has been an absolute blessing for them. But it almost didn't look like he was going to pull that off again.
No, it certainly didn't, but they did.
Only just.
Only just.
Well, I wouldn't say only just. They did do enough, but that start didn't help.
No, not at all. It wasn't the best. Put it that way. Not compared to their standards, which will be a good start.
Which they rose to in 2020, and of course they did. They kicked Wigan out of that quarterfinal, I think it was, or the semi-final. With that kicking game, they could have been a threat to anyone.
Could have been, should have been, would have been.
But at the end of the day, Leeds peaked at the right time. They got there at the right time. I'm for it. But looking at both league and cup fixtures, one first up against Wakefield in a nail biter,
which was a surprise.
but then didn't get. And then their only second win in round 6 came again against Wakefield,
which
after 5 consecutive losses across league and cup.
that was kind of going to be predictable.
And then they had patches where they might win 3 or 4 games in a row, but then lose 2 or 3 after that. So, but
it's a bit inconsistent.
Held on enough. They held on enough at the right time to cling on the 5th, and of course consolidate their place in the top 6 when they met at Hull KR in round 25, which they absolutely destroyed.
Yes. But like you said, they were kind of there at the right time, right place, right time. Like that's where they hit their form.
And this is in spite of the fact that Luke Gale was not present for the back end of the season. Like, he missed a good chunk of the back season. Yes. And Robert Louis, the same story, being a large part of the start.
That is true. But Rob Louis ended up coming on very well in the back half of the season when he ended up playing in place of Luke Gale.
Yeah, it was absolute. And I would have to say Cruz Leeming was an absolute standout. And we did skip over the best player for Hull KR as well. So before he said, because we are going to say, Cruz Leeming had a part, but I didn't think he was the standout. Just getting back to KR, just quickly, Jordan Abdul was the best player by far for KR last year. In 13 appearances, 4 tries, 13 try assists, 43 from 60 goals converted, 1 drop goal, 2 40-20 kicks, and 26 tackle breaks. Yeah, but see, this is what happens. Even though you got the notes in front of you sometimes forget at how to read the order of it. But we caught up. It didn't help getting smashed 40-6 2 weeks out from the playoffs by St Helens, where Alex Walmsley, as he said then, absolute barnstorming performance at about 280 running meters all up.
Yeah.
Just an avalanche it was.
But Cruz Lehman, he did step up a fair bit.
Oh, yeah.
2021.
Dummy half by trade, being asked to play one of the hardest and most scrutinised positions in rugby league, no matter which side of the world you're on. And to guide them into the playoffs, and then beating Wigan in a tough scrap-em 8-0 victory, where only 1 try was scored all up.
Yeah.
Remarkable, only to get rolled by St Helens in the semi-final.
But you were coming up against St Helens too, so you kind of did see it coming though. But Cruz Lehman, I think he got 1 or 2 drop goals, I think, or I could be wrong.
Cruz leading with drop goal, 1 drop goal.
1 drop goal, and I think it was in a nail-biter of a game too, I believe.
That game you're referring to was the Magic Weekend at Newcastle against Hull FC.
Yes.
To win 25-24.
Yes. So my memory is there, but I wouldn't remember the opponent in what round. But
yeah, of course it is. It's there for me too. I mean, we did the notes. We can look back over it, but it's very hard to try and condense everything we said over last year down into 5 minutes, and even then, we balloon it out to 10 and 15 minutes. No one under these things run for about an hour or so.
But hey, it's for fun. We're just getting our opinions out there for the game.
And growing the platform, albeit very, very slowly.
Yes.
But look, now the actual best player for me, for Leeds, Richie Myler. In the absence of Jack Walker, again, for what seems like a second full season, to ask a scrum half by trade and by nature to play fullback, one of the more key defensive arrangements, he did a pretty good job. 18 appearances, 8 tries, 15 try assists, 41 tackle breaks, and running for 1,144 metres.
That's a lot. That's a lot for a season. You know, what was that?
Well, fullbacks probably make 2 or 3 times that.
Yeah, true.
Depending how much they get in the game.
Yeah.
Aim for. But those numbers seem pretty fair.
Like what you said, from being out of position as well.
Yeah, I
That's
think
pretty
he is
impressive.
Leeds. He is the Rhinos' first choice fullback. I don't care that Jack Walker's got the number 1 on his back.
Yeah.
Richie Myler is Leeds' first choice. He's fullback.
Yeah. And he performed really, really well.
Yeah, I think Richard Agar's transformed his career. If you want Richie Myler, you know what you're getting.
Yep.
Versatile fullback scrum half.
100% agree.
And now let's look at how their roster will shape up. Of course, Alex Sutcliffe and Callum McClellan have both been signed up by the Castleford Tigers, so they'll be departing for another spot in West Yorkshire. King Vuniyawa making the move to Salford. Conrad Hurrell picked up by St Helens, which was literally talked about for months before officially announced. This was amongst one of those worst kept secrets that everyone knew Hurrell was joining Saints.
Yep.
And Robert Louis ended up retiring.
Yes. And as we mentioned, Luke Gale has gone to Hull FC.
Yep.
Corey Hall going to Wakefield. Luke Briscoe going to Featherstone. Jared O'Connor on a loan to Bradford.
I think there's about 4. I think at least 4 players are on loan to Bradford at the moment from
there's
the Rhinos side.
O'Connor, Mustafa,
Oh, yeah, Muzi Mustafa.
yep, and Corey Johnson. So there's three of them all going to Bradford Bulls on a loan deal.
But I would probably think they're going to get recalled at some point if restrictions demand it.
Yes.
Not that the Bulls will be happy about that, but
But that's part of
hey,
the loan
what can
deal.
John Keir do? He can only do what's in front of him and what the RFL and Super League set out in
Exactly.
terms of allowing players into different camps. Now, on the other side of the equation, and as we mentioned, two ex-Canberra Raiders, although a giant and a wolf in their previous 10 years, Aiden Caesar joining from the Huddersfield Giants, followed up by his ex-teammate Blake Austin from the Warrington Wolves. David Fusitu'a picked up by the New Zealand Warriors. And James Bentley signed for the reigning champs.
Yeah, so really impressive signings from Richard Agar heading into this season. Obviously, straight away, Blake Austin, Aiden Caesar halves.
Well, before Gale left.
Yeah.
For me, it was Caesar Gale. Austin was the outlier. But then that surprise of Gale leaving for Hull, and it's like, okay, Austin Caesar, I can get behind that again.
Exactly. And we know what they're capable of in the Raiders side.
For 1 year only, of course, because we know they finished somewhere between 9th and 10th for 2017-18.
Yes, but we know what they're capable of. And they've both had more experience at the respective clubs that are coming from, like Warrington and Huddersfield. Put them together and they'll be a good halves combination. And Brendan and David Fusitu'a from the New Zealand Warriors. He's a try-scoring machine.
Not as of late. He had
No.
that peak in 2018, and then for the next 3 years after that, he hasn't really. But a decent little right edge. You got young England prospect Harry Newman. Blake Austin's most likely going to play on the right-hand side. And then you'll have Reece Martin there as well. Some very capable players for that Leeds right edge there.
Yes. And they say that sometimes you go to England to revive your career and that will not revive your career, but, you know, a fresh kind of start, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Try
I think
and
it's a
find the
bit
form
insulting
they were.
that it's... I know any Aussies are going to say, you go to Super League, you're going for one last good payday, and then you're going to retire over there.
No, not necessarily.
Well, that's usually the case. But having watched it for the last personally, for the last 5 years, it's still, you go over to do business. Mitchell Pearce is a good example of that. Everyone's saying, oh, he's going to the south of France, he's going on a holiday. Catalan's ethos at the moment is literally, we do not want to be seen as a holiday destination.
No.
This is what gets the Gold Coast undone. Everyone thinks of the Gold Coast as laid back, you're on the beach. And it's only now that they're trying to set themselves up as, we want to be a serious contender.
Yeah.
That's what Catalan is. And that's what 2021 proved for them. So,
Those sayings, you could say, are out the window. And they were very fast.
I mean, look, if they can get Fusitu'a fit and firing, I don't see any reason why not he's going to be amongst the top try scorers. But let's see what the draw of the first 5 weeks is doing for them. And in the first game for Channel 4, as part of their free-to-air broadcast agreement, this will be the first game that will be shown to air, the Leeds Rhinos at home to the Warrington Wolves.
Wow.
Well, you're going to have to face... If you want to face the best, you might as well do it early so you don't have to face them at the end of the year.
Exactly there. And
So that will be the first Channel 4 game. Then a trip to the DW Stadium for an elimination final rematch against the Wigan Warriors. Then a home game against the Catalan Dragons. And away at Wakefield before hosting Hull FC. So out of that, lose to Warrington, beat Wigan, beat Catalan, beat Wakefield, beat Hull.
You're causing a few upsets there straight away already.
Oh, they're not really upsets.
Catalans, yes.
No, lose to Catalan.
Oh,
I meant.
lose to Catalans.
I said lose to Warrington, beat Wigan, lose against Catalan, beat Wakefield, beat Hull FC.
My bad. I thought you said the last three were win.
Well, glad we just cleared the record up there.
My bad. But with Austin coming in from Warrington, he'll know ins and outs of it. So he knows how they'll play in that. But they could change their tactics heading into the season.
I think they will slightly change it up because, I mean, this will be the first time in Carlton's season in 6 years, and a lot can change in 6 years.
Oh, most definitely.
That will heavily depend on how fast they can click again.
Yeah.
But I think there's some good but talent in that Rhino side. And I think it'll also be interesting, but it can also create a dilemma if Jack Walker is fully fit.
Yeah, that's
That
true.
would be my main concern, because you can either have him carried on the bench as an outside back utility, or you start him and Mile is your utility. Personally, Mile is in front of Walker, not because he's better, but simply because he's had more game time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not Walker's fault he spent the last 2 years on the sidelines with injury. But if he can get his body right, and if he can get some consistent game time, and I don't see, but it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah. And also all the experience they've lost too in Hurrell, who's been a try scoring.
Yeah, that left centre position, I think.
Strike out wide.
I know they got Liam Sutcliffe earmarked for the number 4 spot, or the number 4 jersey, but I think it's either going to be Tom Briscoe or it's going to be the youngster Jack Broadbent. At this stage, I think Briscoe's in front.
And then you also got like Luke Scala's experience scoring as well.
I think compensated by having Aiden Caesar there.
Yeah. And then you got Sutcliffe going as well. So
Alex, not Liam.
Yeah, Alex Sutcliffe going as well. So they've lost a fair bit of experience, but they have got experience coming in like Bentley, Austin, Caesar, and Fusatua, who has no Super League experience, but will be able to pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think Fusatua will fit in just nicely. Especially, I think he'll benefit just from trying to match it pace-wise with Blake Austin, because I think we all know what Blake Austin can do with his running game.
Yes.
Just good speed off the line. I think if Fusatua can keep pace with him and the passes on, I think there's going to be a lot of tries down that right-hand side.
So you reckon Austin will be playing the running game and Caesar will be playing the kicking game?
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. And I think Caesar will slide nicely on the left edge as well.
Yeah.
So I think... And the other thing is, if Caesar can stay fully fit,
Yes.
because he was missing for a large part of the season as well, and Huddersfield did not do particularly well.
No, they certainly didn't. So I hope that he does stay fit throughout the season, because he's got the potential in him.
There's a lot of good things I like about this Leeds Rhino side, as long as they don't lose trust in each other with the ongoing speculation about Richard Agar's position, because there's a lot of talk about succeeding Agar as head coach. A whole lot of people have been named Anthony Seibold. Why would he go? I mean, like going to a big club with expectations, it's like going to the Broncos all over again.
Pretty much.
So no. But other than that, I think there's a lot of things I like about this Leeds Rhinos side. I think another good year of playoffs is coming their way. So last year they were 5th and made it to the semi-final against St Helens. I think they're going to finish 4th this time.
Look, at the top 6, it's so hard to predict. Like we say every year. They had the team on paper to go a fair way into the playoffs, maybe even to the grand final. They're still going to make the playoffs, but they're going to slide down into a comfortable 6th is where they're going to finish, comfortably in 6th.
Well, I think regardless, we both agreed Leeds are back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of how far they will go.
Yes.
That will be the deciding factor on that front.
Now,
brace yourself, because we are going to now dissect the 2021 Salford Red Devils season.
yes.
One word.
Horrible. Horrid.
You took the... No, that's literally what, on my piece of paper I got in front of me, that is exactly the word I have got written down. So you took the words off my paper and out of my mouth right into yours right there.
Well, I've got horrid written as well, so...
But I mean, it was. I mean, they got their asses handed to them by the St Helens. Then they got their asses handed to them by Hull. And the worst part, Widnes. Just think about that. The Widnes Vikings, who had been relegated for 3 years in the Championship, flogs them 68-4 in the Cup.
No comment there.
Seriously. What the hell? What the hell? I actually want to see if your full strength side was available for this game, and it turns out it was. All of them were there. Watkins, Williams, Lollahea playing halfback, dear God. On- and look at this. I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, what the hell, man? You should have been able to flog witness, not the other way around. And this
Yeah.
is a team who's been suffering from financial troubles much more severe than you. The crowdfunding literally saved them from dying out. And this is how it goes?
Yeah. It was not.
Oh, no, sorry, the other way around. And it was you who beat Witness. Oh, my bad.
You got all excited there. Put
No,
me in
I
a
know. I
miserable-
just saw all the L's and I was like, I missed that one W in the middle. So I'm just like, well, that's slightly embarrassing now. But I mean, the results keep piling up. Outside of that, because I thought it was the other way around. There's
Well,
I think we're going to cut that whole rant out. So we're just going to pretend. I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to do some editing with this. I'm just going to pretend none of that conversation happened. I'm just going to pretend from this point, right now, your saving grace was the fact that you beat the Widnes Vikings 68-4. But mind you, it was Widnes, and they did have a lot of trouble.
Yes. But we also did have another big win later on in the season against a Super League side, but they did have a lot of their players out.
Yeah, you beat St Helens, but that was literally the reserve grade side.
But still, a win
and against
to win.
Castleford, you win 70-18, but that was also literally a second grade side.
But a win's a win.
Yeah.
That's all that counted
Yeah,
up.
but
Those two wins, I'd say, would have helped us not getting relegated last season.
yeah.
I'd say that was the
Look,
saving
I mean,
grace.
This was the first and the last time Richard Marshall has taken charge of a Super League side that literally was anchored to the bottom of the table, only doing better than the Leeds Centurions.
Yep,
I don't know what to say about that.
me neither. I honestly don't know. They just had a horrid season.
Yeah, it was a horror season. Nothing sure.
Worked for them whatsoever. Nothing went their way, except for when they played a reserve grade St Helens and a reserve grade bloody Castleford Tigers side. They were pretty much the only highlights, even though the reserve grade was still got massive score lines. But other than that, that was pretty much it, really.
8 wins from 25, league and cup all up.
Yeah, that is
Embarrassing.
Terrible.
Not good.
No.
No good. But
But
the standout player, and ironically, he was in fact the league's top try scorer for 2021, Ken Seo. 19 appearances, 19 tries, so that's practically a 1-for-1 try scoring rate. 1 try assist, 40 tackle breaks, 12 line breaks, and 7 offloads in a dire season.
yes,
You needed that.
Yeah, he was the clear standout of the out of the Salford side in 2021. And it just shows from those stats, really. 19 games and 19 tries. Some of them were obviously doubles, hat tricks, etc., but it's still a 1-for-1 situation.
Yeah. Yeah, but other than that,
There's not much positives out of last season for Salford.
yeah, but
By far.
you got lucky.
Yes, very lucky. Indeed.
Yeah, but 7 league wins is not good.
No. They need to work on that big time if they want to move.
And
off
to
the
do
bottom.
so, you would need to do it with, first off, no more Kevin Brown. He is now officially retired.
Yep.
Tui Loahea is now linked up with the Huddersfield Giants, so to reunite with Ian Watson. Dec Patton has joined the Bradford Bulls, and Azhin Garno to the Lee Centurions. And so without those 4, you'll have to do it without. And a lot of halves, actually all halves you've lost.
And we got no Christian Inu, who's going to Legion. I think I've got that right.
In the French Elite Championship.
Yep, and Paulie to York.
Yeah, that's a big loss, having a versatile forward like Paulie go. Apart from that, Paul Rowley is now appointed as Salford head coach, and in his first season, he has gone quite the signing spree.
Yes, he has.
Alex Gerard, the latest recruit from the Lee Centurions to link up with a Super League side. Amir Boro from the Wigan Warriors. Probably the most controversial signing, even though he had a strong performance the other day. Brodie Croft, off joining from the Brisbane Broncos. King Vuniyawa from the Leeds Ryan. And it was large surprise, Mark Sneed returning home to who's Salford from Hull FC, another Lee man and Ryan Briley linking up, Shane Wright from the North Queensland Cowboys, and Sitaleki Akawola, versatile forward winger of the Warrington Wolves.
And also Dion Crossman and Widnes Vikings, Tim Laffey from a free agent.
Well, he was technically with the Parramatta Eels because he was in the reserve grade setup.
Well, true. And yeah, so I'm liking the signings. As a Salford supporter, I'm liking the signings.
I made a huge... You know what I've said about Brodie Croft. And I think it's reflected by a lot of people that it is just an eyebrow raiser.
I don't think so.
That game was strictly against Swinton, a championship part-timer.
Yeah, I know that. I'm not basing off that game either. What he has shown over at the Broncos on his day, he is capable.
On his day. What, 2 wins? That's all they got. 2 wins.
I know. But even the wins that they didn't, I should say the losses. The losses that they had, he could do what he can do. But if that makes sense. Probably doesn't. So
you're saying that, and I'm just getting pictures in my head of every time Brodie Croft has been in and out of the Broncos side. You want to know how many times that has been?
Probably 16.
Literally 2 years worth.
Oh, well, that's a bit short, a bit more than 16. But I reckon put him over in Super League. I'm going to say it again, new start, new competition. I know it's rugby league as well, but it's the pace of it's slightly different than the NRL. I reckon he'll be shining, especially with Mark Sneed alongside him.
Well,
which is their big signing.
Well, why don't you try these 5 fixtures on for size? First up, against the Casper Tigers.
50-50.
Sure. 50-50. We'll just say that. Toulouse Olympique.
Don't know how Toulouse are going to go in this one.
Their brand could really trouble you. Yeah, slightly in favour of Toulouse on that one.
Look, that's another 50-50 one.
Got to travel to face Hull FC.
FC.
Yeah, I'm giving that to the Black and Whites.
That's a Hull FC win. Although Mark Sneed has come across from Hull FC, so he might want to try and make the Hull FC fans quiet by getting Salford to win against his former squad. But I don't know. It's still going to be Hull FC.
Yeah, it's going to be black and white. Away against Huddersfield. Yep, chalk that one up for Huddersfield.
Slightly towards Huddersfield.
And another home game in round 5. This time up against Hull KR.
Well,
yeah, I got to get that to KR as well. And they might just get lucky against Toulouse.
I don't know about Hull KR. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's too hard to tell. That's why it's called predictions.
Yeah, but we can often see either predictions staring right in front of us.
Well, unless you're me.
Well, this is only your second year proper of watching the Betfred Super League. You'll get used to it. I mean, I picked it up pretty quick. You, on the other hand, it might take just a bit longer to really get a feel for it.
True, but even in NRL, I can't predict right. Come on. Anyway, we've got...
Well, I can't get it right all the time.
Yeah, no, but you got more of an idea than me. Anyway, we've gone off topic. So, Mark Sneed, that's the biggest surprise signing, I believe.
I would say surprise because it literally came out of the blue.
Yeah. And he's also... No, he's not part of the leadership squad.
No, he's vice captain from memory.
Yes, because you got Elijah Taylor as captain.
That is a big surprise to me. I did not think Taylor would get the captaincy. I thought it would have had to have been Sneed, hands down.
Yep. And Brodie Croft is also part of that leadership group too.
Oh, good God. You're desperate.
You've got no hope for
I've got no faith in Salford whatsoever. Ever since you made the grand final in 2019, what have you done? All right, you made the cup final the following year, and then Luke Gale sank your hopes and dreams of a Challenge Cup victory. But let's just reflect on your last 2 years of performances. 7 wins in the league out of 25 matches. If you did actually play 25 matches, because not everyone was able to play. So that's 23 games. 23 matches you were able to play. 7 losses.
7 losses means 7 wins.
7 wins, yes.
I was going to say 7 losses would have been up a lot higher than 11th.
I might be slightly high. That is a joke. I don't do drugs. That I know of.
No, he
No, seriously.
No, you don't.
And then in 18 league fixtures, you were able to get in 2020. Well, all right, to be fair, you ran 7th. So you were just outside.
Just so we've gone backwards in a year.
Hell yeah, you've gone backwards. You've
7th
gone
to 11th.
backwards by a country mile, practically. You finished off the year strong with 3 wins from the last 5 games, although you only did. That was an automatic 24-0 loss to Warrington, and because you couldn't field a side.
For something we're not allowed to mention, otherwise we get booted. Hang
on, was it? Oh, well, you know what? The 2020 ladder you can't read, because somewhere you might read it. It says you finished in 7th. But if we look at the actual Betfred Super League ladder, because not knocking the Rugby League project, but just ever since they restarted in 2020, it's just hard to get a proper read on it.
Yeah.
Inconsistency, I would say, it's been its biggest weakness.
Not just that season, this last season
9th.
as well.
Actually, you were 9th.
Well then.
But for some reason, it's still got St Helens listed as league leaders, even though Wigan ended up getting the league leaders shield. So it's very inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's a hard read. It honestly is. But you're right, I got no faith in Salford.
No. How I see the halves working out, Cross to be running the ball in the attack.
So literally what he was doing at the Melbourne Storm when Munster stood to the plate.
And then Sneed will be doing the kicking / goal kicking. Because Inu's gone, who was a goal kicker at one stage. So was Tuli Lolohila, and he's gone. So Sneed will be the new goal kicker. He'll be, like I said, kicking goals, taking out the kicking duties, and Cross will be allowed to run the ball and be free.
With no pressure on him, which will translate to he will have all the pressure on him if he can't keep Salford in Super League for 2023.
True, which I hope and I believe, because like I said at the top of the Salford preview, I reckon it's a good sign if he gets to run the ball more often, takes the pressure off him, he'll be able to show what he's capable of. And Ryan Bryler, he's a brilliant signing as well.
I definitely think he gets more time than Morgan Escaray, because I have not been impressed by Escaray at the back, despite scoring 7 tries and kicking 3 goals and 14 appearances.
Yeah. And then we've got Dion Cross coming from Witness. I know it was only his pro season and against Swinton, but he did score a try and he was man of the match on his debut. I know it's only pre-season, which doesn't mean much, but still it's a good start. And then Tim Laffey, where's he going to fit into the side?
Well, that's the question.
I'd say he'll be there.
There's a logjam on centres because you've got Watkins is due to come back.
Yeah.
Sargentson will be available by round 4. And then you got Tim Laffey coming in. You can't squeeze all 3 of them in, especially if CO, who will probably be first choice winger.
Yes.
If not, it'll be Rhys Williams. And Joe Burgess to all fit into that Salford free.
I think he's just there for the depth, to be quite honest with you.
Even though he's been given the number 4, you think that's depth?
Well, to start off the season, he might be playing, but then when Watkins, Sargentson, Burgess and all that come back, he'll be there for depth.
All right. I'll go with that. Let's see how that pans out. Now, last year, and this is an accurate result we can get out of it, unlike 2020, Salford finished 11th, literally anchored to the bottom of the table, only doing slightly better than Leeds Centurions. Like I said, I've got no faith in them. Even though they brought Sneed back, I don't think Salford have the squad and the uncertainty around their home venue, even though they say they're playing at the AJ Bell Stadium, that's still hanging over their heads. They're going to be relegated. They finished 12th for me.
Well, it's kind of like a new era / start for the Red Devils. You've got a new coach in Paul Rowley, and he's brought in experience like Sneed, Briley, and the likes. They're gonna improve big time from 2021. It's not gonna be enough to make the playoffs for 2022. I'm saying it now, but it's gonna be a step in the right direction, and I think they're gonna finish ninth.
That's fairly optimistic, finishing ninth.
Hey, I could have said I could have gone from 11th to bloody league leaders shield within a year. I could have said that, but no.
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be some severe disappointment for Salford fans. Meanwhile,
No, I think it's going to be disappointing more for you.
on the other end of the 2019 Grand Final sides, we now talk about St Helens. What
Your side.
can't be said about the Red V that has not already been said?
They're hard to beat.
Well, I think that's fair because they only lost about 4 times.
And I don't think Catalan's managed to beat them, or did they beat them?
Castellan
once?
beat them for the League Leaders Shield.
Yeah.
Yep. Brilliant result at Magic Weekend in Newcastle.
Yes. And
Defensively sound. I mean, very defensively sound. At the
They'll-
most, they've conceded 20 points.
I was going to say they were hard to get points put against them, like on them. And come the grand final, they've showed it time and time again.
The experience of
row.
the St Helens side. That grand final was a thriller.
It absolutely.
If 2020 between them and Wigan was a thriller, this was equally adept. It literally came down to the last 15 minutes in Kadnagama's second try.
Yeah. The question is, can St Helens go for the 4th title in a row and
Well,
rewrite
that's
the
the
history
thing.
books?
That's the thing, isn't it? Because the Leeds Rhinos in 2010 were in a similar position, and they didn't.
But St Helens have pretty much got the bulk of the same squad as last season heading into this season, minus a few players.
Before we get ahead of ourselves, for the 3-time reigning Super League champions, Alex Walmsley. I honestly sing Alex Walmsley's praises
Yeah.
as the best front rower in the world. And I mean, quite frankly, he is the best front rower in the world.
Yeah.
So,
Heads down.
no questions. 19 appearances, 5 tries, 1 try assist. I mean, by 4, that's 5 tries is a fair haulage.
Yep.
73 tackle breaks, 19 offloads, 325 carries for 2,263 running meters. That's roughly 2.23 kilometers worth of running in a season
That is unbelievable.
for a forward.
That is
For a forward.
unbelievable.
I mean, there's probably more that make just as many or even more, but literally, this is the St Helens engine room.
Yeah.
Right here, we're talking about the engine room of the Saints pack.
Yeah.
Back inside.
And he's not just in 2021, he's shown that time and time again as well. He is one of the best players.
And considering only 4 years ago, his career was almost over because he suffered that neck injury.
True.
To come out and then win 3 grand finals after that, on the comeback, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Brilliant comeback story, you could say.
Oh, I just tell you, I just think he absolutely got lucky.
He certainly did there.
Yeah, so... And of course, they were Challenge Cup champions for the first time in about 13 years since they last won the cup.
Yeah, so that was a bit
Unfortunate to miss out on several occasions, several semi-final defeats. Of course, most recently to the Catalan Dragons in 2018, lost the cup final to Warrington in 2019, and knocked out by Warrington in the quarterfinal stages.
So they've broken a hoodoo there, you could say.
Oh, they have broken the hoodoo. And of course, also lifted their 3rd consecutive trophy, making it 9 in the Super League era. So they've surpassed the Leeds Rhinos. They've matched the treble side of 2007 to 9.
Yep.
7, 8, and 9.
Yep. That's just unbelievable. It's nothing.
This is history in the making.
There's nothing bad to say about St Helens.
30 years from now, when we're older, and hopefully this platform is a lot bigger and much more successful than what it has been to this point, we will look back and we'll tell our kids, it's when they ask about who was the best at a treble winning side in Super League, depending on how the results pan out, we'll say
St Helens.
I grew up watching St Helens absolutely dominate the league for about
Yeah.
5 years as league leaders and then as champions.
Yep.
No side could
Can't-
touch them.
cannot-
And it's only unfortunate that they can't add World Club Challenge champion to that accolade because they've been
No.
denied in 2021 against Melbourne and they are going to be denied in 2022 against Penrith. Fortunately, once again, we have played it through in Australia. Whether the result could backfire on what I might have said in the past comes back to haunt. Who knows? You don't know the result until we show you what happened.
But we do know the result of what could have been the scoreline against Melbourne.
Penrith.
No.
Melbourne, that one's already up.
Yeah, no, they're saying.
Aren't
but
you
we-
paying attention? Hello?
No.
Your
But-
co-founder, you should know what's up on the channel by now.
No. I'm saying that we do know the result of the game against Melbourne because everyone has
If
seen.
it was to go ahead.
Yeah, if it was to go ahead, we know the result of that match. And the audience knows as well. You guys know as well. But for us, we know for the other game, and you guys had to wait. We're leaving you in suspense.
Until the editing's done.
Yes.
And I will get onto that very soon as I can, once we're finished up here. Now, back on topic. Roster rotation. Of course, James Bentley, as we mentioned, is joining the Leeds. I know Joel Thompson has retired and would have been joined by Kevin Nagama if not for a last-minute change of heart to sign up with the Sydney Roosters.
Yeah.
And of course, as we covered, Lachlan Coote departing for Hull KR and Theo Farge linking up with the Huddersfield Giants.
And Aaron Smith is
On loan at the
to-
Leeds Centurions.
Yes. So, a few losses there, especially Theo Farge, Lachlan Coote, basically all of them, really.
But the thing about St Helens is, it's like the Melbourne Storm. For every good player they lose, they bring another one through their ranks, and then they're just as good, or if not better. For the players they have brought in, first up, Curtis Sirinen joining from the Manly Sea Eagles, James Bell finding a place after leaving the Leeds Centurions, Joey Lussick on a 3-year deal from the Parramatta Eels, Conrad Hurrell from the Leeds Rhinos, and Will Hopewadi from the Canterbury Bulldogs.
So, the loose experience, they bring experience. Pretty much like for like, you could almost say.
St Helens are the most professional Super League club, you'd have to say. And they're
No
one of
doubt.
the big financial hitters as well.
No doubt about that. They're basically like the Sydney Roosters of the Super League.
I already said like Melbourne.
Well, Melbourne, that too. You could say the Roosters as well, but anyway.
Oh, well, either one of them.
Yeah.
Which made the 2020 World Club Challenge all the more special because I thought Saints would have been the one to knock the Roosters off their perch.
True.
But alas, they're not, and the Roosters are still, to this day, 2-time defending World Club Challenge champions.
Yeah. To this day, yeah. Still haven't had any.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be the record. The longest time they've been declared the best rugby league club in the world because they are the last team who won on the World Club Challenge twice.
Yeah, twice, yes.
Yes. Finally, we got to look at how will St Helens fare in the first 5 rounds. And of course, what better way to start than the grand final rematch to launch the season against the Catalan Dragons at home.
Must watch. Must watch game. Grand final rematch. Will Catalans get their revenge, or will St Helens manage to go ahead of them again and beat them again?
Well, we only have to wait a month.
Yes, a month.
Away trip to Hull, Saints will get that.
Yeah,
Wakefield, yep.
yeah, easy.
KR, yep.
Yeah.
Warrington, round 5 at home.
That's a 50-50
Interesting.
one. Yes.
I would push to say that's a 50-50 result, but I think that and Catalan are pushes. I think they're 50-50 results, but I think 3 winnable games easily.
Yeah, especially against, what did you say, Wakefield?
Wakefield,
Yeah, that's an easy victory.
And then, of course, they have to travel to the south of France to face Toulouse Olympiques, but I think they'll be strong enough to take up. They'll easily handle Toulouse. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because Toulouse could come out firing.
They could. Now, it's going to be interesting because I think even though they're not going to play the World Club Challenge,
Again.
how will they back up again? Because I think we know they're a professional club, but even me, a recently converted Saints fan, has to think, this can't go on forever.
It certainly can't.
They have already written themselves into the history books, and I was very glad, even though I didn't watch half of their glory live, because why would I get up at 4:45 in the morning to do so? to watch Super League live, there has to come down eventually.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same situation. I know I'm comparing two different things. One's a 3-game series, one's 3 years worth. But so Queensland Maroons, they won 8 years in a row. It's the State of Origin Shield.
Don't need to remind us.
And then it come to an end. This is kind of like that, in a way, but not in another.
No, I get what you mean. But the Queensland side, they had the likes of Darren Lockyer, Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk, Jonathan Thurston. I already said Darren Lockyer, right?
Yes.
Greg Inglis, Israel Folau.
Darius Boyd.
Yeah, we don't talk about Darius Boyd because I think anyone could beat Darius Boyd at this stage.
Yeah, true.
But no, that Queensland side in 8 years. Oh, Matty Bowen, another one.
Yes.
Bowen, Brent Tate. You looked at that Queensland side and you thought it could never exist as an NRL club because one, the salary cap would totally be busted, and you would have to rely on the Melbourne Storm to hook up a second set of books for you.
Yeah.
And try not to get caught, which is literally impossible.
Yep.
But look, I get what you mean. In St Helens, I think especially since the latter half of 2017, they went from fourth when they had to deal with Castleford Tigers, who were clearly the best team of 2017. And then since then they kicked on, league leaders 2018 and in 2019, semi-finalist 18, grand final 2019, as well as cup finalists. Second place in then 2020 and 2021, despite being at first at various stages.
Yes.
And then came away with the grand final again.
Yep.
And then they got the Challenge Cup in 2021. You're right. But very different.
Yeah.
Similar but different.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And like I said, can they go to fourth in a row? We just really have to wait and see.
Well, and I think you got to also figure at the Castellan Dragons and the Warrington Wolves, because I think they are the two closest teams that could probably beat a full-strength St Helens side.
True.
Closest they can.
Yeah.
And I think they will both surpass St Helens for the top two.
Yeah, okay.
So I think fatigue will be a big thing. And for James Roby, this will be his final professional year.
So it'll be
He will bow out after this season, whether he wins or loses. Remarkable feat, though. I mean,
I hope he
more
wins.
than 500 career appearances and I mean, we're talking 5 grand final rings he has in his collection, because I believe he was there in 2006. He was definitely there in 2014, and for this current repeat they're on.
That's unbelievable. 5 times.
Only
maybe
4 players have probably got multiple grand final rings, but I got to back him in still because I think there's good talent in both Jack Wellesby and Lewis Dodd. I was going to say Aaron Dodd there. Don't know why.
Yeah, no, they've got
Like the
talent.
Salford blunder, I probably won't edit that part out. I just think, like Mrs. Brown's boys, they don't bother with editing. They're just like, all right, you fluff your lines. We'll go back. We'll do the same take again. We'll just pretend nothing happened.
Yeah.
This is exactly one of those moments.
Exactly right there.
Look, I think fatigue will play a factor, and the emotion around James Roby's final year, I think that will play a huge, huge part. I still think they are going to be champions. I think they will be back at the grand final again, and I think they're going to win again. I think St Helens are my pick for champions again. I got it right last time, so...
From where on the ladder?
Well, I did say they were going to be league leaders, so...
Yeah.
Well, last year, Saints were second and were crowned champions. This year, they're going to have to do it the hard way. I think they will finish third on the ladder behind the Warrington Wolves and the Castellan Dragons, but I think when it matters most, they will be there, and they will go 4 in a row. They will do what the Leeds Rhinos side of 2010 couldn't.
St Helens will easily be fighting for the league leaders shield. Easy. But they're not going to get it like they didn't last year, because Catlin's got it last year. I said last week that Catlin's going to get it this year as well. But they're going to come close of getting it. But they're going to finish second again in 2022 for St Helens.
Yeah, that's That's very true.
Don't know if they're going to make the grand final yet, but they will be in contention big time.
Well, I was unsure last week, but I think thinking on it, I've made my mind up.
They will be there or thereabout. I don't know. They'll be there, but I don't know.
Oh, no, of course not.
They'll be there, but I don't know who against.
Well, that's the question. I know who they're going to be up against, or I have an idea of who they're going to be up against.
I presume. Well, I'm guessing.
But that's all we have time for, because it's full time from us. If you like this edition of the Sideline Chat podcast, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell if you are new, and don't forget to follow our social media. It's Sideline Chat RL for Twitter and Instagram, just Sideline Chat for Facebook. And don't forget that poll's still open for the next 4 to 5 hours. So if you want to see a Rugby League Live 4 Career Mode series, we'll leave the links in the description so you can go and vote now. Hope you enjoyed it. And next week is the final week of the Betfred Super League before we cover our NRL predictions and previews. How far can Toulouse Olympique go? Can Wakefield actually put up a good year for once? And yeah, sarcasm from my colleague over here. And finally, what does Warrington and Wigan hold going forward in this season? Along with Mark Hendry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye.